30 years on the rise. Journal of HTM shines in tourism and events, sharing knowledge worldwide. 30 years on the rise. Journal of HTM shines in tourism and events, sharing knowledge worldwide. 7.6 impact score, but we strive to do more. In hospitality's growth, we're opening new doors. To the field we commit, building insights that fit. For researchers to grow, we lead and we transmit. To the field we commit, building insights that fit. For researchers to grow, we lead and we transmit. To the field we commit, building insights that fit. For researchers to grow, we lead and we transmit. 30 years on the rise. Journal of HTM shines in tourism and events, sharing knowledge worldwide. 30 years on the rise. Journal of HTM shines in tourism and events, sharing knowledge worldwide.
Okay, welcome everyone. It is really my pleasure to kick off the online research festival of the Journal of Hospitality and Tourism Management. This year we're celebrating the 30 years of existence and great performance. And I hope you have enjoyed the short celebratory birthday song. There are many reasons why we would like to continue being engaged with the journal. The journal has been growing from strength to strength. The numbers just confirm how important we are, or what is the impact that we are doing in our community. Submissions have been going up. We are seeing more than 2,000 submissions per year, and this requires a lot of effort from the editorial board, reviewers, and all the team. Usage, it's exactly the same. More and more paper downloads and readership and citations. We are really happy that we are seeing our impact factor increasing all the time. Although the last year, as all journals, they have seen a slight decrease for the reasons that we all know. Metrics are going up in terms of site score, impact factors, our rankings in different journals and databases. We are really strong, and we really want to thank everyone for their commitment and their friendship and love for the journal. We have a big editorial team, quite international. Many of them, you will meet them as well during the online festival, because I'm really happy and privileged that they are helping out, and they are hosting their own webinars as well. Today, we're going to have the first one to kick off the festival with me running it. But please log in every week, because my associate editors, they are also hosting their own webinars as well. Many benefits for all of you that you're engaged with the journal. To mention some of them, we are giving out annual awards, Best Paper Awards, Best Reviewers Awards, and we are also running an annual Best PhD Paper Award, with many, not only soft benefits in terms of recognition to the winners, but also some very good financial benefits to support your research. We are also hosting annual events. Many of you might have attended the annual research symposiums that we do or the annual paper hackathons. And this year we are also hosting this online JHTM festival to celebrate our 30 years. We've seen many winners, 8 award winners since 2021 for the best PhD paper awards. This year we have been running the award as well, and next year we will do it once again. So please stay alerted with any announcements that we are doing. Since 2017, we have seen many research symposiums, 7 being run. One, it was organized online because of COVID, and there have been many universities, countries, and continents involved, and a big crowd, 800 plus participants worldwide. The hackathon has been another success. We had 6 paper hackathons since 2017. One, it was held online because of COVID again, and the hackathon, it was brought internationally to 3 continents and 4 different countries. So stay in touch with us. We have a social media presence, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn included. It's a good way to stay alerted about our news and to become part of our community as well. Everything that we have done online, it has been recorded. We are sharing this on the YouTube channel of COFI. These webinars of the online festival are also going to be recorded, and you can also watch them online in your convenience as well. So thank you very much all. The best is yet to come. And we hope we will continue growing with your help. So thank you everyone, readers, authors, reviewers, editorial board, all their supporters, because without you, probably we would have been nothing. And I mean it. Some thanks and quotations. The lyrics of our birthday song, it was generated by ChatGPT-3. The music, it's also digital music generated by an AI. It's called Make Best Music. Our cast, our readers, authors, and reviewers, and editorial board. We had many guest stars, partner universities, and collaborating scholars. And we have the privilege to have many of you here as well. And I've been the director of this music and lyrics. So that was from me. Thank you very much, everyone, for agreeing to contribute to our first webinar to kick off the online festival. Let me introduce you to what we're going to do today. So our first webinar, it's all about technology. We're going to give a technology forward research agenda in tourism, hospitality, and events. We have a GRIAD panel, I have to admit, here with us, very privileged. We are going to start with Dr. Uli Grätzel, who is going to share with us her thoughts about a perspective paper that is currently editing for the journal and is going to be published early next year, so watch the space. Uli will share her thoughts and arguments on that paper about research in technology in our field. And then we will follow the webinar with a panel discussion with 4 members. 3 from academia and 1 from industry. So the first member we have here with us, it's Professor Dimitrios Bouchalis from University of Bournemouth. Hello, Dimitrios. Nice to have you with us. I guess you don't need a lot of introductions for Dimitrios. He has been a big name into the field, one of the most highly quoted, and editor of the Journal of Tourism Review as well. We also have with us Professor Rob Lowe from University of Macau. Thank you, Rob. Rob is also one of the prolific scholars and writers in the field of hospitality and technology and tourism. Probably, yes, everybody knows Rob as well. And we also have Professor Stan Ivanov. Welcome, Stan, as well, and sorry to wake you up so early. Everybody, I guess, knows Stan because of your involvement with the journal Robonomics and all the research that you're currently doing about AI and robotics. So we're looking forward to hear from you. And last but not least, we have Dolores Ordonez, Director of AnySolution, President of Planetic, and many other organizations. It's really our privilege to have Dolores with us because she has, I would say, a very long-standing and long-term involvement in the industry, particularly with many different projects related to technology and tourism and hospitality. So it will be very nice to hear the view and the perspectives from Dolores as well. So thank you, everyone. I wouldn't like to delay the webinar more. I will give the floor to Uli. So Uli, please share with us your thoughts and your PowerPoint.
Thank you so much, Mariana. And I would like to start also by saying happy birthday to the journal. And thank you for organizing this webinar and putting together such an exciting panel. So this is a real privilege for me. And also thank you for inviting me to contribute a perspective piece to the special issue. And it took me a while to think about what I was going to write about. And in the end, I came up with the title, The Many Questions Concerning Technology in Tourism, Hospitality, Events, and Leisure. And I'm going to tell you why I selected that topic, but I wanted to write more about technology research in general and really put forward a research agenda rather than writing about a specific technology or a specific technological concept. All right, so why the many questions? So almost 25 years ago, or well, almost exactly 25 years ago, I actually took a course on the philosophy of technology before I even started my PhD program at the University of Illinois. And I was introduced to the philosophy of technology by Martin Heidegger. And I don't know if you know much about Heidegger's philosophy, but he is mostly known and used in our field for his research on existentialist kind of experiences, his notions of authenticity, as well as his work that followed from Husserl on phenomenology. So that's really what the field knows Heidegger from. But he also has engaged with technology. And so I've been always fascinated by his work. And so I saw this as an opportunity to revisit some of his thinking and maybe write about what that means for us as researchers in this field. So this is the book or the essay that I'm referring to. And so now that explains the title of my presentation and of my paper. So he's asking the question concerning technology, and it was actually originally a lecture he gave, I think in the early 1950s. So think about the context of a lot of technologies actually emerging during that time. So kind of similar to the state we're in at the moment, but also some darker kind of perceptions of technology after World War II, and a lot of thinking about, well, what did we do? Did we really need to engage with designing a nuclear bomb? So here's how Heidegger starts off his essay, and I'm going to read that out for you, and then I'm going to try to unpack it for you. So he says, in what follows, we shall be questioning concerning technology. Questioning builds a way. We would be advised, therefore, above all, to pay heed to the way and not to fix our attention on isolated sentences and topics. The way is a way of thinking. All ways of thinking, more or less perceptibly, lead through language in a manner that is extraordinary. And by the way, he was really fond of ancient Greek. So he uses a lot of Greek words in the remainder of the essay. We shall be questioning concerning technology, and in so doing, we should like to prepare a free relationship to it. The relationship will be free if it opens our human existence to the essence of technology. So what does this mean? So he's basically challenging our orientation toward technology, our relationship with technology, the way we see technology. And he says that we have a very instrumentalist view of technology. We see it mostly as tools, as artifacts, as means to an end. And he says that that view, that orientation can be very limited because it enframes, it shows us the world in a certain way, it reveals the world in a certain way. So if we adopt this instrumentalist view of technology, it turns the world around us into what he calls a standing reserve. So basically a resource to be used, right? Something that needs to be optimized, something that needs to be categorized, that needs to be counted. And he says that leads to a technological way of thinking, and it keeps us from understanding the essence of technology. And in his words again, in our sheer preoccupation with technology, we do not yet experience the coming to presence of technology. So we're so focused on technology, on the artifacts, that we forget the world around it and behind it. So kind of like a tunnel vision that he's presenting to us here. So what's the solution then to this? And he says it's questioning our orientation, questioning the way we think, questioning the way we engage in questioning. And so he actually ends the essay by saying, for questioning is the piety of thought. And so he urges us to avoid just simply accepting definitions, or really having these instrumental views, and instead we need to think about how we can engage in more thoughtful, deeper inquiry and appreciate complexity. So I think very important for us as researchers, he challenges us in the way we ask questions, as well as the kinds of questions we ask about technology. So I looked at the literature in our field, and I looked at the way it orients itself towards technology. And I basically identified 4 different ways in which we and we as in the field see technology, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about each one of those. So the first way, the first orientation is really technology as solution. So technology is presented as something that solves problems, right? And so as soon as a technology emerges, then we start thinking about, oh, what kinds of problems could we solve using that technology? On the other hand, when we encounter a problem, we also tend to think about technological solutions, right? So it becomes a kind of a mutual relationship here. And for example, in the smart tourism field, I see this a lot, where the focus then really becomes the technology. And so it's all about developing more technology or refining technology, making the solutions more efficient, right? So then we forget that there is more to it than just the technology. So in the smart tourism context, that would be governance, for example, as a big concept. So we don't just need technology, right? So that's the first orientation, technology as solution. But then I also see a lot of research that sees technology as a stimulus. And that comes from psychology and the natural sciences, where it's really a very deterministic view of technology, where we study how technology impacts certain things, right? What effects technology has. But because of this experimentalist a psychology kind of mindset that is behind that, we isolate these effects. So we control everything. We adopt the reductionist kind of orientation to technology. Well, that's very limiting, right? So we only look at certain kinds of effects, usually effects that we can easily measure. And that, again, limits the way we think about technology and the kinds of questions we ask about technology. Then there's technology as structure, and that is kind of the models and the scales that we use. We love models, right? We impose these structures on the way we think about technology. So the technology acceptance model and all its iterations fall into that. And so suddenly, if we adopt this orientation, then everything becomes about perceived usefulness and ease of use, right? And so again, it is a very limiting view. It inframes, right? Suddenly it's all about behavioral intention and attitudes and everything else we leave aside. And then last but not least, I think there is an orientation towards technology as a shortcut. So technology as a tool for research, whether it's smart PLS or a software tool or web scraper or ChatGPT nowadays, right? It helps us do things faster when we do the research, or do things in a way that maybe as humans we're not very good at. But we have to acknowledge that again inframes, right? It only shows us the world in a certain way. And so that can have a lot of drawbacks. So what would Heidegger then say about this? He would encourage us to ask different kinds of questions and to really challenge our orientation towards technology. So for example, he would say we should ask a question like, what truths does technology reveal? In what way do technologies like Google Maps or automated translations shape the way we experience and understand ourselves and the world when we travel or when we engage in leisure activities? How does technology inframe in our field, right? Through the platforms, the data analytics, the automation, does it, pose a danger maybe to the deeper meaning and significance of tourism, hospitality, events, and leisure as a social kind of phenomenon? And can there be a more poetic relationship between technology and the kind of research we're doing? So can we use technologies to encourage more thoughtful, respectful, and creative ways of understanding? So in the paper, I then come up with a very brief research agenda that I think emerges from this. And it's focused on two concepts that I think we are not questioning enough. One is the concept of the technology user, and the other one is technology use. And so for the technology user, I would encourage us to really move away from this notion of the autonomous, single, individual user concept, right? So we still have this notion that there is as the user behind an account or a profile, where we know that people might actually be sitting as pairs in front of a screen, or do something as a family, or at least pass the phone around, or show the smartphone to others. Or they might even share an email account. And so it has huge implications for our sampling, for example. We also need to explore the different kinds of users and the kinds of also barriers to use for these users. We've kind of explored certain kinds of users. We explore them by age or generation. We look at gender, but there's a lot more complexity there in terms of who the user is. Stan already knows that this is a very important topic to me. We also need to understand the meaning that users assign to technology. So I wrote a chapter in his book on automation on the sense making involved when we encounter robots, for example, right? And so I don't think we have a good enough understanding what that process is, whether it's in a consumer or in a worker kind of context. And we have more and more non-human users, and we have to question what that means for our research, right? Not only what that means in terms of our data that we're collecting, but also maybe what thinking tools we need. We might actually need object-oriented ontologies to understand these relationships between human and non-human actors. So in terms of technology use, I think we need to really question this utility maximizing, effort minimizing pursuit, especially in our field. I think the more phenomenological understandings of technology use are really important. We also need to stop seeing technology as kind of like happening in isolation. It's an embedded practice. And so, for example, if you use a mobile phone during your trip, you don't just use it during your trip, right? So that use is embedded in your overall use of the phone. So we've seen a little bit of that research labeled spillover effects, but there's a lot more to do in terms of how embedded our users are. We rarely talk about the ideologies of technology that color that use, and I think there's a lot of questioning we need to do about that. And maybe this is a question for Rob, especially, but I think we've taken on so much of the thinking and the inframing, the orientation from information systems, and some of it might not be very useful, or not it might be limiting if that's the only thing we do, right? And one is the information systems success kind of model, and how it really has focused us on defining technology success as satisfaction or use intentions or continuing use intentions. So I think these two broad areas, there's so many questions that we can ask, and I'm looking forward to hearing from the panel what they think these might be. So moving forward, I would like to say the quest for the essence of technology is an important one, and it's getting more and more important as more technology always emerging. And I really do think that it requires a reorientation and creative exploration on our part. And so engaging with Heidegger reminds us that we need to question our assumptions, and we need to find ways to reveal experiences and underlying meanings so that we can uncover these truths and the essence of technology. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Uli. Yes, we haven't given you an easy task through this critically reflection of research, but I think you came up with something quite interesting or thought-provoking. Yes, if I have understood it well, what we do not always realize is that we also become part of the technology, or technology becomes part of us. Which then constrains the way we think or we see things or the way we perform. I mean, if I reflect from personal experience that I guess everybody can also empathize with that, most of the time now we use Google Maps. Do you remember how you operated without Google Maps? Not really. Our brain has started performing or operating totally different, isn't it? So imagine what is going to happen with AI, that we just ask a question and we get the answer, how our brain is going to be reformatted or, adjusted to different things. So thank you for that. Are there any questions from those that they are attending us online for Uli, or comments? I don't see anything, or I will be observing the chat.
I'm sure there will be questions.
I'm sure there will be many more questions,
along,
and I have already some, which I would start posing them to the panel so we can actually fire up the discussion and the panel here. And of course, Uli, feel free to intervene or to share your comments at any time as well. So if I may start with one of our panel members, and I will start with Dimitrios. What are your thoughts on what Uli has just shared? Do you think that we really ask the right questions? Because personally, as being a journal editor as well, I'm getting bored of receiving a paper after the other about the factors affecting technology adoption of AI, the factors affecting adoption of AR, the factors affecting adoption of VR, and so on and so on. So I'm really very skeptical whether we do ask the right questions to progress our thinking or to explore something new rather than being repetitive.
First of all, congratulations for the 30 years. Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Well done to you as well, because you've taken the journal to higher and better positions, reflecting all the good energy that comes from coffee and all the colleagues who have been supporting that. Great to be on the panel. Apologies, I'm going to leave early because I'm flying out to Hong Kong later this morning. It's very early. Thank you to Uli for providing the background as well, and a very interesting philosophical kind of positioning. Do we ask the right questions? Yes, we ask the right questions. Those people who are creating thought-provoking, cutting-edge research, ask the right questions. But the thing is that as editors, we keep receiving awfully lot of papers of replication. So what happens is that someone will ask the right questions, and a lot of other people will keep repeating the same questions. And I think the issue is about innovation, and the issue is about original thinking, and the issue is how can we take forward the various elements of what technology adoption and technology development is happening. And I think quite often we are not prepared because we are testing things. And with technology, what happens is that we need to look forward on the new things and the big things. And quite often we go to uncharted waters. So when I'm writing things about metaverse, when I'm writing things about AI, a lot of colleagues were questioning, how do you know what's going to happen, and what do you measure? And quite often you don't measure things because they have not happened, but you really need to bring all the different evidence from many different disciplines and different approaches to actually imagine the future. And we are very lucky in this area because I've been working in this area for almost 40 years now, and keeps moving, and never stops, and keeps you up to date, and you blink and everything
But
has
how
changed.
can we start thinking outside of the box or bring fresh ideas? We usually say we need to collaborate or form, I don't know, partnerships and bring some fresh ideas from other disciplines. Do you see this happening in our field?
Of course it is, because it's by definition multidisciplinary. So when we started iFit and Enter back 35 years ago, we had to get technology people to come together with management, marketing people, and tourism people to work together and bring different disciplines from sociology, from management, from marketing, from information systems. All of those things were coming together, and I think this is what brings innovation, and that brings bring people forward, bring different disciplines and also different contexts. But we really need imagination as well. It's not about. Quite often in science you are measuring things, so you're experimenting things. Here you need that, but also on top of that, you need imagination. You need to be able to redesign things, re-engineer things, and test and redo, and and everything is on beta. So we constantly um, design, improve, test, and come forward with solutions that need to be further researched.
Yeah, we need to be imaginative or at least creative. And I wouldn't exclude any discipline. I mean, at the moment, I'm trying to do research about digital mortality, which doesn't exist. So yes, I'm currently reading stuff from even religion studies. What is mortality?
Yeah.
So yes,
But
we really need to be open-minded. And probably this leads me to another question that I have for you, Stan. Do you think that we, as the current generation, which it's not the one that it has been born with the AI, we have the current perspectives, theoretical lenses, or even mindsets to understand what is coming, particularly with these new technologies of AI, robots, and all that stuff? And how can we avoid our constraints and think outside the box?
Thank you, Mariana. This is a fantastic question. First, congratulations on the anniversary of the journal. 30 years is really a fantastic achievement. Yeah, I would say that we currently don't have the right theoretical lenses, but we have the foundations of these theoretical lenses. From my perspective, we have currently all these frameworks, technology frameworks that currently exist. They cover three areas: the company, the employees, and the customers. And the overwhelming majority of these technologies, they focus on the customer. However, from a pragmatic point of view, it is the first decision. It is the decision of the managers and the owners. For example, if guests want to use a room service delivery in a robot in a hotel, this will be the third decision. The first will be that the managers and the owners, they need to be persuaded that a room service delivery robot would be a good idea. That's why we need frameworks that deal with and research that deals on company level. Second, it is the employees, because the employees will be those that will be using this technology, and finally it will be the customers. But that's why I also see that there's a lot of research focusing on the customers, but the employees and especially the companies frameworks they are very important. And largely overlooked. We can think about the technology organization environment framework that deals with the organizational aspects, but more or less the other frameworks deal with the consumers. We also need to have probably framework that deals with technology on country level or blocks of countries, because many of the problems do not stem from the use of technology by individuals, but how these are regulated on legal level, political level, and so probably this also needs to be included. These frameworks, the current framework also implicitly assumes that the human is the decision maker. And Uli this correctly mentioned that we need to consider the non-human user of technology. We are already in a situation where AI is communicating with AI. AI is taking economic decisions to buy and sell items. Think about the trading on the stock exchange. And this has significant repercussions. So probably at one moment, tourist companies, they will need to persuade to target not the user, not the travelers, the future travelers, but their own autonomous agents who are making the bookings for them. So this will mean a complete reorganization of the marketing activities, and probably not so much focus on the emotions of the users, but probably the decision-making procedures of the artificial autonomous agents that take the decisions on behalf of the humans. And definitely human-robot, human-AI collaboration, this also needs to be integrated. The current frameworks can be a good stepping stone in this direction. How they will develop, this is $1 million question. Yeah.
You are editing a journal accepting papers written by AI.
Yes.
Yes. Do you see any difference between these papers and the papers written by humans in terms of their theoretical frameworks, writing style, methodologies, research ideas, you name it?
Yeah, this is also a great question. I would say that the efficiency of artificial intelligence depends on the efficiency of the natural intelligence that uses it. So in Robonomics Journal, I have seen articles, co-created AI co-created articles, because they are not entirely written by AI, but predominantly by AI, which are fantastic, and others which are, how to say, an interview with ChatGPT with fabricated references. So it is not the AI in this case, but it is the human who uses the AI that leads to greater quality of the final output. In technical terms, AI co-created articles sometimes become too wordy. Language becomes a little bit more schematic, a Shakespearean way of writing, not the style, the focused style that I would personally prefer. But AI can be used to generate ideas. Probably from 10 ideas, 8 are not creative, but one will be completely wrong and out of context, but one may give inspiration to the human user to continue forward.
Yeah, you raised an interesting issue that the power of the AI depends on whether we have the skills to use it and to bring out all the benefits of it. But I have an interesting video to show later on to show how the AI also depends on the people training it and the data that it is based on. And that raises a lot of ethical questions that I would like you as a panel to address, but later on. Let's move to Rob. Do you think that there are any theories, frameworks, models, you name it, that we as researchers have probably overused, exhausted, abused, misused? I was talking about the technology accepted model before. There are many more that I can think of. What do you think?
Oh, thank you, Mariana. And congratulations for the great achievement of the journal. And thanks for inviting me to join this panel. Probably some of you know my background is computer science. Okay, so I come from another world. I'm still actively working with my CS projects published in technical journals. But come back to this tourism or management world. I don't want to use the word abuse, but overuse is definitely correct. There are three theories, okay? I often see them in many of the papers that I reviewed or they submitted to my journals when it comes to technology. TAM, we talked about this already. Another one is TPB, Theory of Planned
Yes,
Behavior.
we are full of acronyms.
The third one is Media Richness Theory. I'm thinking, other than the journals that I'm editing, I'm reviewing 4 to 6 papers for journals which I'm not involved from other editors. When I receive a paper, okay, there's a very good chance the theory that the paper used with one of those 3. So I always ask the computer scientists, the AI people, they have introduced lots of new technologies, and the people from other disciplines, mainstreams, they have introduced all these new theories or methods. Then why the tourism people, they are still using mainly these 3? Is it because they're the easiest to understand, or they're the easiest to use, or it's because people have used them for the past 25 years or 35 years that is safe, then they use it? Well, overuse, definitely. I'm not sure about misuse is the right word. Okay, so what any framing of what I'm advocating here is folks or tourism researchers, in most cases or in many cases, we should go beyond tourism and hospitality. But this is another thing, observation. In many cases, I find out the tourism people, they always work with the tourism researchers. So Demetrius and I, we are brothers, put it this way, okay? So, but even though I like him and he likes me, so Demetrius and I, we should not work too closely, too often together, because we cannot learn, okay, very much.
I
So
disagree.
we learn from,
I disagree.
we can debate this later. We should work with other people, go outside, okay, and then see what we can do, or we can learn from others.
I agree with that.
Okay, so that's basically
Now
my
you
view.
made Demetrius happy. Yeah.
So abused, misused, I'm not sure, but overused, definitely.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's my view.
add something?
Yeah, sure.
Yes,
to
Lily.
that?
Yeah.
And I think I do think that sometimes it's because we're trying to ask questions that are easy, right? And where we feel comfortable, and so we take a framework that is already out there that, you know, we can rely on. It has been published. It's not going to be challenged in that sense. So I think maybe a little bit of laziness, but I think it's also because we've been trained to think in this way, right? We've
A
learned these
specific way,
models,
yeah.
and yeah. But what I wanted to say, what I think is special about you, Rob, as well as Demetrius, I think you are very close to the technologies, right? You are people who are using the technologies, you're designing the technology, you would never write a paper without having that kind of closeness to the technology. And I think what Heidegger would really challenge us on is to make sure that that is happening. I see a lot of people who write papers about technologies they are simply not familiar with. And I think the same with you, Stan, right? I mean, you would not write about a robot and not have had interactions with a robot. So I see that a lot in papers. The questions are often very simplistic and not very reflective when people don't have that firsthand experience.
That's a very good point. And I think if I judge from my experience, I have no problem people reusing frameworks, but I become really skeptical in terms of their understanding of the technology or the context when the model is not adapted to the environment or the technology that they're using it, and it's just a copy paste. Then this creates me a lot of suspicion in terms of the quality or the reliability of the research. And something else that I always question myself, during COVID, we were saying, do we need another crisis to confirm theory that we already know how to manage crisis? Not really. So I usually say the same for the technology. Do we need another technology, AI or VR or AR to confirm that the model that we know works or it doesn't work? They're really critical questions if we really want to contribute something new, I think, and to expand the frontiers of research somewhere beyond to what we currently know. Let's move to another issue that I would like Dolores to help us as well in exploring that. And I will take a few minutes to show you some slides to put some context into that question. So we all know technology, it is a priority in industry, not only in our academic discussions and debates and research. Based on data by a company called Skift, I guess many of us, we are familiar with them, 91% of companies, they said they expect moderate to aggressive increases in technology investments in 2024. And actually this is being repeated during the last years. Yeah, companies investing more and more every year on technologies. This is actually true across all the different sectors in tourism, airports, corporation, hotel, travel agencies. And you see that there are some differences between sectors, but more or less all of them, they are investing heavily. But then when I was looking at some of the data by the same research, I saw something interesting in terms of, are we really a victim as researchers or industry of a technology hype cycle? Meaning whatever exists as new, we really want to catch up and we really want to invest on it without even thinking deeper. So we have AI, let's publish about AI. Next year, we will have about metaverse, we will publish about metaverse and we'll invest in that. Data show that the same is true for consumers. Whatever technology is new, they want to explore, they want to adapt it. If we look at data about ChatGPT, many people already have embarked on that. But then when we look at their satisfaction rates with the technology, I cannot say that they are very satisfactory. Only 1/3, they reply that they are very satisfactory. The rest, they are neutral or yes, It's okay because the technology is still in exploration. Mobile first is also true in AI. Yeah. Primarily, we prefer to use technologies on a mobile device rather than on a computer, but the results are the same as before. Something interesting, which probably Stan can also comment. When people were asked what were the major factors constrained them to adapt AI, the top factors, they were related with accuracy or reliability of technology, privacy concerns, lack of trust, availability, and the factor, the people's preference to human interaction, it was the least. So people do not want to interact with people. Yeah, put that into the equation. I think that's an interesting fact. Something else which I think we also need to comment and debate. What are the reasons pushing companies to invest on technology? Based on data, or the way I interpret the data, there is a high focus still on return on investment. So they will invest if they see that this investment will bring them something back financially or indirectly financially. Sustainability is missing. Invest on technology to increase sustainability. Call it environmental, call it societal or cultural. So if we look at the factors for which hotels are investing on technology in 2024, top factors: develop or drive guest loyalty, meaning money; increase employee productivity, meaning reduce costs; security, again, minimize your costs and expenses on losses; analytics, to take better decisions. I don't see any factor here in terms of increasing environmental sustainability of hotels or doing something about sustainability. If I look at data, why airlines are investing on technology, they did mention sustainability, but this is not the primary or the top factor. The other factors, they mainly, again, refer on issues about return on investment. And I also came across a very interesting video, which I don't know if all of you are aware, but I would like to share it with everyone in the audience about the ethical issues that they're being raised about the development of this AI technology nowadays. And I will just play the video. It's only 2 minutes long, but I think it will highlight the issues that I would like some comments from the panel. So let me share the video.
And the team is looking down the barrel of a 455 meeting.
They're gassed.
In order to make ChatGPT safer, workers in Kenya labeled disturbing content, including graphic descriptions of violence and rape. Their pay, less than €2 per hour. Effective AI models like ChatGPT or DALL-E often rely on an invisible human workforce in the global south that clean up the training data sets. Why is data labeling so important, and whose job is it? The performance of an artificial intelligence depends on its training data, whether it's an autonomous robot vacuum or a generative AI that creates a poem or a picture based on a text prompt. To create a good data set, labeling the data is essential, and this task is still mostly done by humans. By labeling the training data, humans tell the robot vacuum where it should vacuum and when to stop. In case of a generative AI, humans decide and label what kind of content is offensive. ChatGPT and other generative models are not magic, and they rely on massive supply chains of human labor. Lots of companies outsource the tedious data labeling process, mostly to countries in the global south, such as India, Venezuela or Kenya. The global market for data annotation is estimated at more than €2 billion in 2023. Hiring contractors in other countries comes with some risks. Big companies are not responsible for the conditions the workers have to work in. Contractors are. So, for example, limiting the exposure to disturbing content. The workers in Kenya complained about the lack of mental health care. On top of that, contractors have access to confident material. In Venezuela, data labelers shared highly personal pictures taken by robot vacuums on Facebook. One of them even showed a person on the toilet. Though the pictures were allowed to be used to train the next generation of robot vacuums, they should have never appeared online. OpenAI, the company that developed ChatGPT and the AI image generator DALL-E, is worth more than 26 billion euros. The workers in Kenya that helped make their product safer got paid less than 2 euros an hour, and that while exposing themselves to tons of disturbing material. Some started calling this AI colonialism, but looking for cheap labor is nothing new. In many industries, the dirty work is done by people from the global south. Thus, for experts like Timnit Gebru from the Distributed AI Research Institute, it's clear supporting transnational worker organizing should be at the center of the fight for ethical AI. Did you know that behind most AIs are human laborers working in precarious conditions? And how do you think a fair treatment of these workers could be achieved? Let us know.
Okay, so not only we are only investing on technology if it brings us money, but even the way we develop technologies, it creates a lot of ethical problems, and it's not according to sustainability principles. What are your comments, Dolores? Uli mentioned before that we see technology as a solution, and that's what the industry seems to be doing it, using it as a solution to increase profits or reduce costs.
Mariana, just before you go into this question, I need to apologize and leave you and trying to catch a flight. I'll see you soon, everybody.
Okay,
Safe
thank you very
travels.
much, Dimitrios.
Happy
Thank you.
birthday
Bye,
to
bye, bye.
you. Bye-bye.
So, Dimitrios has given me the entrance. So first of all, congratulations for this 30th anniversary. It's a pleasure to be here. So in the video and in the previous presentations, I think technology is there. So I think this is a reality, and I think we all have to understand the fast evolution that the technology has. And this has a direct effect on our research and our day-to-day, because when you are putting all the statistics and trying to understand how digitization and how the technology is affecting the tourism industry, one important thing is to understand the tourism ecosystem, in which, for example, in Europe, 90% of the business ecosystem is composed by SMEs. So, and then another important thing is the technology adoption. So we are discussing now about AI, generative AI, but when we go to the ground and when we try to understand what's happening at the level of the small companies that are working in the tourism value chain, they don't know anything on AI, and they don't know how to include AI in their day-to-day. So in a way, we have these 2 points or two ways in which we have to focus our research. On one side, we have all the trends, and for sure we want to follow all the trends and analyze and what's going to happen and so on. On the other side, we need data, and the research must be based on this data. And it is not always so easy to have access to all this data on what is really happening, to have a good understanding on how the technology is really affecting all the sectors. So it is very complex because of the evolution, of the fast evolution of the technology. So we were discussing 10 years ago about big data and all the solutions that big data was to contribute to the tourism sector. The data analytics, then it came AI. Now we are with generative AI. We are discussing about data spaces. So there are a lot of trends. There are a lot of initiatives that are marking our research because we want always to understand more, to go more, and so on. But at the same time, when we take a look what's happening at the level of the ground, not all these technologies have been really adopted. And this is something, the way to understand why these technologies are failing, and also how these technologies are evolving to answer really needs on how to apply in a very faster and easy way by the users. Because, okay, we see this interaction with the users, but at the end of the day, tourism is an industry that is based on humans, for humans. And we have seen that even to train all the AI algorithms, we need people that train these algorithms and correct these algorithms. And of course, the evolution will make that the algorithms will train themselves. But I think the human in the loop should be something that we have to keep it, because if we lose this part of humanity and we lose this part of ethics or an understanding who is training these algorithms and for what, and you made the right question, Mariana, when you mentioned where is sustainability. So it depends on who's training these algorithms, we will have different answers. And of course, we will have different priorities. And we have seen in your statistics that the economic factors are always there. But if we don't analyze in a proper way what's happening with the use of this technology in the tourism sector, perhaps we are also losing a part on which are those impacts of technology in the tourism sector. And perhaps the research has also a homework on analyzing these effects, which are not always so easy because we don't always have all the data. And for me, it was also an exercise because you know that working now in these data spaces, when we try to understand how to share data and how to push this data sharing from the different actors in the tourism value chain. Part of the research was so complex to be implemented due to the fact of this data, and not everybody is offering this data to contribute to our researches. And this is very important because we are discussing about data, we are basing our research on data, but a very big part of data is on the hands of small companies or entities that they are not aware about the importance of data, or they haven't even prepared their entity, their databases on how to share this data. So I think we have still a lot to do in this area. For sure, it's important to analyze and to think that the technology is going to continue evolving, and the companies that are investing in technology wants to have a return of investment as soon as possible. But I think when we start discussing, and we have seen it in the video about this ethical use of AI, the sustainability that should be included in all the activities in the tourism sector, perhaps we have also to focus a little bit more our research on that to underline these factors that are also having an impact in the tourism industry.
Yeah. But it's very interesting what you said, that if I can call this digital divide between those using the technologies and not those using the technologies, it's probably not always an issue of access to money, or it's not the money issue. It is mainly a human factor, isn't it? Either the willingness to use it, or the skills to use the technology, or the trust to share the data, isn't it? So the human factor is a very important one.
And also the evolution of the technology makes that the prices of adoption completely change. Because if you think some years ago for a hotel to have different channel managers, PMS, CRMs, and so on, it was a really big investment. Nowadays, for a hotel, it's quite simple to acquire these different solutions for the hotel to be more efficient, to sell in other markets, to reach more possibilities to get their clients. Even some hotels that you know in countries like Spain or Greece, they are trying to go from the tour operation to the direct booking. So at the end, the technology is there, and how this technology is adopted is also part of the journey. And I think it's very important to understand how this technology adoption is being implemented by all the different actors in the tourism value chain.
Mm-hmm. Somebody wanted to comment. Sorry.
Yes, I would love to, because thank you, Dolores, for mentioning this, because I think it goes back to what Stan said about, really looking at more some of the organizational users of technology and what we need to understand about that. But then also my point of really we need to challenge our understanding of the user, and so very often they are not very rational decision makers, right? It's not just because they don't have the skills or they don't have the money or the time. Sometimes it's also because they just don't see a need. and so if you look at technology adoption in the industry, often it's kind of like sheep following each other. So they only do it if the big sheep says, oh yeah, I'm investing in this technology, and then all the others will follow. Or there's
Well, Dolores might know that professionals, if they have a way to do things, it's always the best way that they do it, isn't it? And they never want to change. Is that true, Dolores?
The thing is that the resistance...
They know everything, and if their way of working works, it's the best. Why to change it?
Well, at the end, you're used to different technologies, processes, way of working, way to understand your clients, and the resistance to changes, I think, is quite common in humans. So, and then when ourselves, when we have the computer and we have a new computer, we have a mobile and we have a new mobile, we see that the young generations are quite fast in changing mobiles and all kind of solutions. The older generations are still, well, this works, why I have to change it? And at the end of the day, we understand that when we have this kind of devices or technological solutions, we haven't had the possibility to explore 100% all the functionalities of this technology. And then we are again in the new version that appears for other purposes. So the evolution of technology is there, because at the end there are also these economic actors that are there and the technology developers. But the impact and the use of the technology and how this is affecting the way of understanding tourism, the way on how the tourism actors are behaving towards these changes, are something that are very, very important to be taken into account to understand how this technology changes will have an impact in the tourism industry.
Stan, what is your view about these ethical issues and moral issues about AI? Do you think that we do enough research to address them, or have we thought about them, or are we talking about them, or we don't want to talk about them?
Well, we don't do sufficient research in this direction. And I think that the ethical issues are many more than we actually identify now. Probably the question we need to ask is, well, we say that it is not moral to pay them so low wages for the people in these countries to label data. The question is, who is going to label, and what is the alternative? This question probably also needs to be asked, and also whose ethics people are labeling inappropriate content. So if two men are holding hands, how this will be interpreted in different cultures? and how different people will perceive this. So some will say, okay, that's absolutely fine. Others will say, no, this is offensive, etc. So we need to be really very careful whose ethics we are propagating through AI algorithms, because my concern is that at one point there will be no alternatives to a particular ethics, and how to say, when we have different opinions about a particular topic, then this creates from one side diversity of opinions, but on the other hand it can strengthen in a psychological and also sociological way the arguments towards a particular philosophical stance. But when we eliminate the competition of ideas, which will probably happen at one point, then are we really living in a good society? Well, Bulgaria was part of the Soviet bloc for several decades, and we had only one truth. Probably at one point, when we eliminate the different versions of ethics, because then we will have also one version of AI truth. This is one of the things that you.
But what we also need to realize is that ethics or morals, they also evolve with the society.
Exactly.
What was ethical in the 1800s is not ethical nowadays. And what is going to be ethical in 100 years with AI, I guess maybe it's not ethical now. So is AI creating a new ethical era as well?
Yes, that's for sure, because we are using a limited number of algorithms and which will share probably similar ethical rules there, and of course the ethics is evolving, but we also need to remember not to apply ethical standards retrospectively. This means that we cannot evaluate what is ethical to consider past actions with the current moral rules. But we can use the current moral rules and foresight thinking how we want ethics to develop in the future, to design the AI so that in the future we have a better society for humans and non-humans as well. This is more from a philosophical point of view.
Yeah. There are questions coming in, so I will start floating these questions to the panelists. I will start from a question from Daniel Leung. I will ask Rob to address it first, and then the rest, if they want to contribute, feel free to do it as well. So the question is, usually research tries to investigate the impact of one technology on consumer behavior. But probably what research might be doing in the future is to try to understand how probably an ecosystem of many technologies simultaneously influence consumer behavior. So is that a better way to research? And do we need new theories, or do we need to adopt new approaches to investigate this kind of issues?
Daniel, that's a good question. I'm muting my mic. Scientists, they produce technologies. And then we are the people, or the management people, or tourism people, or researchers. We use these technologies. But personally, I really don't see there's any reason why we cannot do it. So technically speaking, I would like to see this happen. That is, include multiple technologies in a single study. And then we can see the interactions, okay, of the technologies or among these technologies to the people. But one point I do have to emphasize is about culture. Because different people from different places in the world, they really have different behavior, not only culture, other demographic factors in terms of this kind of technology usage. So this also echoes what Stan said earlier about ethical issues. Again, different places have different expectations or standards in terms of this kind of ethical standards. It will be very difficult, if not impossible, to find a common standard or practice that fits everyone in the world. Okay, so but personally, I find there's a huge difference.
Well, there is some research already, if I can refer to omni-channel strategies, trying to investigate how consumers use different channels at the same time or in different ways to make a booking or purchases. I guess, or I think this kind of research is an indication that, yes, there is not only a single technology influencing people, it's an ecosystem, isn't it, of different technologies. And I guess the industry has already realized that by making their distribution channels to be seamless or coordinated. But obviously, it's not only about bookings. It's a wider field of consumer behavior as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I have a concrete example. So one of my former PhD students, Sarah, at the University of Queensland, she looked at multiple device use during travel planning. And so it turns out that people are sitting in front of a laptop or a desktop, and then they have the phone next to them, right? And so the thing is that if you ask a question, you know, did you use a mobile phone to plan this? Then they will probably say yes, right? And so we need different kinds of questions and study setups and really a different way of looking. And this is what I meant with this embeddedness of the technology used as a practice, right? And so unless you kind of look behind the screen in this and like sit next to them, right, when they do this, you will not see how, you know, they have all these things going on. It's not something they might express naturally in a survey, and for sure not in an experiment where you force them to only use one technology. So yes, I think that's a very, very good question, and fits right with what I was saying about, you know, the kind of the creative ways of exploring technology use.
And I think people also associate specific type of applications to specific devices. For example, if I want to make a phone, I will use my mobile phone. Other people, they will open up their computer and use WhatsApp through the computer. So I think specific tasks or activities people associate with specific technologies in some way as well, which is an interesting exploration or thought for people that they can further investigate. Dolores, there is also another comment in terms of how can we actually use technologies to prompt or nudge consumers to become more sustainable or responsible? Have you seen any such practices adopted by industry or from your own professional life somewhere?
Well, what is of the interest of the new tourists, and we are seeing also in the use of technologies, is that the people wants to reduce the use of private cars. They want to increase the use of public transport. This is not always very easy to do in all the destinations, but this is something that they are starting to do. They are using new individual mobility possibilities in order also to reduce this use of individual cars, because at the end of the day they are also reducing the carbon footprint. we are seeing with the food that there are a lot of applications also related to circular economy, and the way on which the hotels are trying to reduce the organic waste and in the buffets. It's also related with the possibility of the users to select beforehand what they want to consume. So the restaurants and the hotels can reduce the amount of food that they have to buy, because at the end, then if this food is not used, they have to reject it. So, and then many users are trying to understand which are their carbon footprint. We know that when we buy a flight ticket, we receive that the amount of carbon that we are producing with this flight. This is not happening in the rest of the tourism value chain. And you know that there is a lot of initiatives in order to calculate the CO2 emissions properly. And here the tourists are going to have a very important role, because the companies can understand their scope 1 and 2. The scope 3 is very complicated to be measured. And when there is a real volunteer to understand how this efficiency and how this sustainability can be brought also by our own behavior, this is something that they can also use. And now you know that we have spoken about the trends and the data flows, and everybody is now quite worried about this phenomenon on over tourism, saturation, how to move people. And also it has a lot of to do with the people. So because in each city there are the 10 top places to be visited, and when you go to city, everybody wants to go to visit these top 10 places. If we were better informed, we can reduce the human pressure on these places. If we could be more connected with the destination, we can learn about other places or how to help also the destination to be more sustainable. And it is a bilateral communication, the destination to the tourist with the destination, in order to continue having the destinations that we have be more sustainable, because at the end of the day, I think nobody wants to go to the very crowded destinations in which they can even more move. And then they are struggling also with the resources, so waste, energy, water. So how the tourists are behave towards these issues when you go to a destination, how are you making the use of water, or how what are you doing with the waste you are producing? Technology allows almost everything. So it's the use that we give to this technology, and if we are aware of how to use it properly. So I think communication is going to be also something that is going to be very important in the next years, not only through these small messages or so we have seen in the social networks, but to generate a real awareness among everybody. And this will have also a lot to do with that data that we need for the research, and also with the ethics that you have mentioned before, so with the stand, because the ethics are evolving, but I think sustainability is something that is quite crucial, and everybody needs to have a common understanding.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone. I see we have few minutes left, so I will make this last question. I will invite Rob and Stan to comment, and Uli or any one of you. A question coming from Kim. The majority of the research probably about technology, tourism, hospitality is taking a positive perspective in terms of how technology can improve things or make things better. We are not really talking about the negative impacts of technologies, particularly the ones coming now, AI. Is that something we need to look at? If I reflect on science fiction movies, we see both perspectives. We see movies showing us the wonderful capabilities of human beings using technologies, and we also have science fiction movies or books that they take a catastrophic perspective of technology overtaking humanity or destroying humanity. maybe we need to start adopting that perspective as well. I don't know. What is your view, Rob?
I totally agree. Use me as an author myself. I wrote many papers on the positive side of technology. I always need to make 2, 3, 4, or 5 rounds of revision before my paper was accepted. And quite often the paper is even rejected. But there was once I wrote a paper, this is about the negative side of technology. The paper was accepted after 1 minor revision. So definitely we need to do more in this area. But why that's the case, I have no idea. Stan, maybe you can add something.
Maybe that's where the money comes from. Nobody will fund research to prove the opposite.
Yeah.
Thank you, Rob. I completely agree that we need more research in this direction about the negative aspects of AI. And thank you, Kim, for this fantastic question. We can see the effects in the short term, in the long term, and it all depends on scale, on how a particular technology is used and how much it is used, and whether it is ubiquitous or technology or it is not. Regarding AI, definitely the negative sides, they relate to fake information, false information, misinformation, the weaponizing of AI for changing the values in society in a negative way. This can be used, but again, it depends on how humans will be using AI. If we have the proper safeguarding mechanisms, which will be developed on society, on country level, so that's why we need frameworks on country level or at international level, then probably these negative consequences, they can be, contained. Probably one of the worst the worst aspects, the worst negative impact, which Mariana mentioned at the beginning, is about we as humans, if we over rely on AI, we will lose some of our capabilities and our skills. With Google Maps, you can go everywhere where you want. But with a paper map, probably some of the younger generations, they will find it more difficult to orientate, to triangulate where they're located and how to reach to another destination. So in the long term, we will lose some skills. Of course, we will gain new skills. And here the question is, how will our brains cope with this? If we over rely on AI, will this going to hurt our cognitive capabilities? Because the brain will not be trained so much.
You will not even exercise.
I don't have an answer for this. I don't have an answer on this. This is like a student who writes their assignment with ChatGPT, and a student who writes the assignment by him or herself. The question is, who learns more? The output, probably the student with the ChatGPT might have a higher result in the short term, but in the long term, who has learned more? So that's why we need to ask also such questions about technology, the long-term implication. Thank you.
There's always a moral panic when a new technology comes about. I mean, people were very concerned about the radio or the telephone and what that would do to society when people, would be just idling around and talking to each other, or messages being spread over, waves. But I think AI, there's some additional danger there in terms of, first of all, the energy that it's using. We're going to run out of energy. And then there is the problem of singularity, right? And so I think that's really why a lot of people are concerned about the lack of regulation. But I think the negative sides of technology, especially also maybe at a less, you know, sexy or I don't know, sensationalist level. Things like, you know, all these tourism providers who have invested in different kinds of technologies over the years, and you know, some of it was a complete waste. Technologies go out of date, and or you know, they have legacy technologies and then they cannot really adopt the new one, and all these kinds of things. There's so many different questions we can ask that we are currently not asking, and how that colors, you know, your approach to new technology, or why someone like me is actually sitting here with a 2016 phone that actually doesn't even update itself anymore. Why?
But you can make a call, that's fine.
Yeah, but at some point I will be forced, because the apps will stop working on this phone. And so those are the kinds of things that I really wanted us to think about. And so I'm glad that all these questions are coming up, because yeah, there's more to it than just asking, okay, you know, what's the next technology that we should be researching?
Beautiful. So I wouldn't like to overexploit you and take more of your time. Thank you really very much for your inspiring thoughts and sharing your ideas in terms of technology and research. I would have said people to give a big round of applause, but I don't think that can work in an online environment. I'm sure everybody will appreciate it, and thanks a lot, heartfully. And looking forward to read your paper, Uli. I guess everybody will be looking for that. And I'm also looking forward to meet all of you in some future event very soon. Thank you again. Have a good day.
Thank you so much.
You too. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Thank you.
Thank you,
so
Mariana.
much, Mariana,
Bye.
and all the panelists.
Thank you.
Goodbye. Bye-bye.